Thanks, Sarah and Brett, for organising the event. I really appreciate it. And thanks for trusting me to come here today. So, I want you to put your hand up if you can recognise and sense when someone's in a bad mood. Yeah? Right? And I want you to put your hand up if you've heard about conflict that's happening in the groups around you. Yeah? So it might not be freedom groups, it might be your local netball club, your local football club, or Lions club, or car club. Alright, so there's always lots of groups around, different kinds of groups, but the same behaviours happen in each group. So it doesn't matter what group you're in, whether it's a family group or whatever. So raise your hand if you've come here looking for some answers today. Yeah? And raise your hand if when you're feeling those negative emotions, you feel your muscles tense in your body. Yeah? And then, and what happens when you tense your muscles in your body?
You grow muscles. No.
Yeah. So when you tense your muscles in your body, your whole body gets tight. And blood pressure goes up, your heart rate changes, and you get inflammation in your body. And then when you get inflammation in your body, you get autoimmune diseases and sicknesses. And then what's the worst thing that can happen from that? Cancer. Yeah. Mental health declines because you're feeling sick, and then suicides and death. So that's obviously the last place that it happens, and that all comes from your emotional health to start with. So would you agree that we've all been programmed and brainwashed to think that if you're emotional, that you're weak? Stop.
You have a lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah, that emotions are weak.
I think it is starting to swing the other way.
Yeah.
Probably because so many people are in a bad place due to so I think it is maybe swinging around in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's the should be alright mentality, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it should be alright.
Yeah, you'll be
No,
right.
listens here if you complain.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I'm listening. So
yeah, exactly. No, you're right. I appreciate your engagement. It's great. So, especially for the blokes, they've been brainwashed and told not to feel, and that if you feel and have emotions or express those emotions, that you're a mummy's boy or a pilala or whatever else they've been told. So, would you agree that we haven't been taught conflict resolution at school or from our parents?
Yeah.
Yeah? I can see lots of you nodding, yeah. Would you agree that we haven't been taught relationship skills and how to maintain healthy relationships? Yeah?
Yeah.
We're all just winging it, aren't we? Yeah. So I've just got to share a little interesting fact with you. On 9/11, there were satellites up in there, of course they're up in the air, satellites 222 miles away from us that were picking up on the changes in every human heart's magnetic field, magnetic energy field. And the human heart magnetic field is actually 5,000 times stronger than your brain magnetic field. So if satellites...
Is that coming from the heartbeat itself, or what's the magnetic field?
The magnetic field is different to your heartbeat. Your heartbeat's based on your pulse rate and your blood going the amount of blood that goes through your heart. But your magnetic field is the electricity in your heart. Yeah, so we're all electric beings, electricity beings and stuff. So the magnetic frequency in your heart is picked up 222 miles away from the Earth, and that data was given to scientists and every 30 minutes. And that proved to scientists that your emotions have an effect on the whole world. And that your emotions connect us all together. Your heart magnetic field connects us all together on a global scale.
Yeah, we're like mushrooms.
Let's all get it.
All right, so it's not just you connecting and feeling your own family's sadness and emotions. It's actually affecting the whole world.
And they're still monitoring that. Can you see that in a positive effect? Like, there was all this global support or expectation around like the US election recently. Can they see that in a positive outcome as well?
Well, I would say so, because they're measuring. Sorry?
Or the sadness through COVID and what that
Yeah,
all
exactly.
brought to now.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been measuring your human heart magnetic frequency for years. I mean, how long ago was 9/11, for goodness sake? And was it repeated in our media? Was it reported in our media? No. Yeah, exactly. So the reason I'm here today is I'm going to be really quick. The same as you, I've experienced lots of loss with the whole COVID shebang. My father passed away last year suddenly, heart problems. So he was jabbed 4 times, I think, from the records that I've found. And my brother had a vaccine injury from his childhood, and he had an allergic reaction, which he had an infection on the brain, which then caused lots of scarring on him, and that was back in the 70s. So it's all started to make a lot of sense to me now, what's going on. So, and I came to... So I started my journey. I had to make that decision to not take the jab, which then held a lot of consequences for me. I lost the rental place where I was living over the Port River with my friend. I lost my job. I was looking at losing my house as well. I couldn't find any other employment or income source. So anyway, facing the losses just like you all were, and I decided to take some gutsy action, and somehow or other I got hold of Tim Dwyer. I think it was my friend in Mildura who mentioned Tim Dwyer to me. So I saw that he was going to serve papers at Government House, Parliament House in the city. So I thought, right, I'm going to go down there and support him and witness that. So I was on the steps of Parliament House, and all the consequences for my actions started to come down on me like a ton of bricks. And I was hearing Tim speak, and the words that he was speaking, and it all just like, it wasn't a bad dream anymore, it was real. What Tim was doing and what the government was doing, it all became real, and I just broke down. And if it wasn't for Nina and David who were there with me and watching Tim at that time, I probably wouldn't be here where I am now. So they encouraged me to join A1 and go to a barbecue with them, which I was like, oh no, I'm not doing politics. But then I thought, like, I'll go and give it a go. And it was my way of fighting back and taking action. Then went on to Epic, spent time in Canberra fighting there as well. That was really epic for the first couple of weeks until we saw all the human behaviours come into play. Before that, I'd done life coaching, so human behaviour is quite an interesting topic for me, so I was quite aware of people's behaviour patterns that were playing out in front of me. Then we had the A1 drama. Then I went home and I'd made, along with my friend Greg, we started up a stand in the park, and then we made a My Place. So part of what I've seen, the main problems in groups is that I've seen happen is conflict. And the main things that cause that conflict is, number one, people don't know how to handle conflict, and people fear conflict. The other one was people lacked communication skills. People don't listen to each other properly. You start talking to somebody and telling them an experience, and then they turn around and go, "Oh yeah, that happened to me," and then you're cut off. No more listening to you. How do you feel when you're not listened to? Awful. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a negative emotion, isn't it? Yes. So when we have that negative emotion, when we're not listening to people, we're not loving people properly. Okay? So we're not appreciating them, even if we don't resonate with the word love, we can appreciate people. And we can respect people. And if we're not doing that if we're not listening to each other. And the other thing was fear, which Tim's been talking about earlier today. And it's not fear of I'm scared, it's fear of not being loved, fear of not belonging, and the fear of not being worthy or good enough. For every conflict, under every conflict is fear. One of those three fears, or all of those three fears. And I go into, I'm sharing a course with the Freedom Groups, which is a 6-week course, and I go into all the strategies where we can be gutsy loving each other, because we need to love each other and we need to be gutsy to love each other no matter what. So that's what my book is all about. It's loving each other no matter what. Okay, and that takes a lot of guts, because unless you've got the courage to love people when they disagree with you, unless you've got the courage to love people when they hurt you and when they betray you, then you're not being gutsy. So, and we all need to be gutsy to love each other and accept each other no matter what. That's the answer you're all looking for at the moment. That's love, and gutsy love is what's going to counteract all the evil that Tim and Dr. Lyons have been talking about today. Gutsy love is going to counteract that love, and if we don't do that now, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Exactly. So we've had COVID happen to us, but we haven't changed the way we interact with each other. We're still doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So all our community groups and our My Places and all that sort of stuff are all going to fail if we keep doing all the same things that we've been doing again. Don't you think? So we must take responsibility for our own actions and our own emotions and start gutsy loving each other and listening to each other and spreading that love. Because if we don't do that, if we don't start doing that and taking responsibility for our own families, our own emotions and our own backyards, where's that going to lead us? All right, we've got to think about what we do want and not what we don't want. We want to leave behind us a legacy of loving, connected relationships that give us a powerful voice in our groups. We don't want to be leaving behind us a legacy of broken relationships. Our children need us. Our children are being used as weapons against our grandfathers and grandmothers, our aunties and uncles, the fathers, and we need to stop doing that. Stop using our children. Children are growing up without their extended families. They're growing up without their fathers, their grandmothers, grandfathers, growing up without their aunties and uncles. Our children need us to leave them a legacy of gutsy, loving relationships behind us instead of relationships that are broken and falling apart, groups that are falling apart. So we can do this. We can do this. Tim's already described EFT, which is a great way that you can dissolve your emotions. Coaching and the course education is another way of dissolving, helping to manage your own emotions, which I'm doing in the 6-week course that I'm providing. It's valued at $1,000, but I'm offering it to freedom groups and my place groups for $20 a module. It's a 6-module thing. If money is still a problem, you can share it. You can have coffees with your friends or take it to a stand in the park, and you can have 4 of you around the laptop and it's $5 each. All right, so that's one way, educating yourself. If you can educate yourself with knowledge, but if you don't apply that knowledge, it's useless. Okay, so we've got to learn, which will help learn and love each other more. Where's that Wayno? He's got that 832 motto. Love and keep learning.
Live, love, and learn.
Yes, live, love, and learn. So we've got to keep loving and learning. How are we going for time, Sarah? Oh, good. Okay. So you can see why it's really important to manage our own emotions, because if our emotions are being felt by our families in our own backyards and across the world, if we start taking responsibility for managing our own emotions, then we can counteract the evil that's going on here at the moment. So we've got to leave that legacy. We've got to keep loving. We've got to remember that love is the answer to counteract everything that's going on here. So gutsy loving. So what do we need to do? We need to keep being gutsy, taking one step forward every day. Doesn't matter if it's a big step or a little step. We just keep taking action. We show up. We keep being gutsy. And we always remember, we ask ourselves a question: what would love do? What would fear do? You are the biggest weapon that we have. Okay? You yourselves. And that is love. So love counteracts it all. So we keep focusing on what we do want and what love wants, then that's what's going to win. So remember, love is always the answer. So the 2 tips that I'll be sharing with you to master the art of unity in groups was listening properly to each other, waiting till that other person finishes talking before you talk, and then paraphrasing back what you've heard. And then the second step was what I'm passing around now, which is the agreement frame, which can help you when we're facing conflict or got to have difficult conversations with people. We can use that agreement frame. So there's my contact details are on there. So you can take some action by buying a book. It's $15 for the book. $5 will go to Craig Cole's Leave Our Kids Alone. And so you can read the book, join up on the Gutsy Love community. It's a free group on Facebook. If you want a more private group, then I've got memberships available, and I've got the course available as well. So for freedom groups, it's the $20 module, and in that course I share with you lots of strategies where we can be gutsy and gutsy love our families and our friends, and no matter what. Okay, so I'll go through the 3 fears and lots of other strategies, and some of those strategies are in this book. So thank you very much for your time today. Remember, love is always the answer, and keep being gutsy.